Welcome to another episode of Lifelong Learner. This is the Out of Class edition with Ben, Janesh, and Matt. Hope you enjoy.
Welcome back to another episode of Lifelong Learner. Welcome, Matt. How you doing?
Thank you for having me, Janesh. I'm doing very well.
All right. Usually, Benny's the one giving you a bit of stick, saying that you're off with your parole officer, mate. But I'm not sure where he is. But you know what? Let's call him.
Is that what he says when I'm not here?
He does. So call him Ben Carvosso.
I don't have anything witty to come back to that with.
Morning, Ben. How you doing?
Right, good.
Mate.
Are you up and running?
Mate, we're up and running. And, mate, guess what? You are live, mate. And the listeners know that we've had to call you in.
Mate, I've been waiting for you to give me access.
No, mate. Matt's in the room at the moment.
Huh.
That's me, please. I want to hear the...
Maybe it timed out because I just waited for so long that eventually I just had to go.
Great. We'll see you in there shortly then.
Mate, I'm there. There we go. Let me in.
Oh, I see you. Oh, he's in now. He's in. A good recovery, listeners. Just letting you know he was not waiting in.
Look, I'm all prepped. I'm ready to go. I'm dressed for it. Dressed for success.
Mate.
I'm like koala jacket on.
You look like you're about to go camping, Ben, in the wilderness.
Yeah, he looks like he just got out of his swag. He's by the fire. He's drinking his cup of tea from the billy.
It'd be in a steel mug. What is with that? You know, camp mugs are always steel. You know what? Actually, I do know why. Because they don't break if you're carrying them.
Yeah.
Whereas ceramic mugs would break.
Ceramic or even plastic mugs break. We've broken a few plastic mugs.
And you can't put in the fire, can you? Steel, you could, if you need to.
You can heat it up.
Coffee.
Oh, I've never done that.
Yeah.
So,
that's cool.
What's been happening, fellas?
Ben.
What's been happening? Well, I'm back on air, mate. Not just on this air, but on the real radio waves. By the way, what's this?
It's either a snake or a wave.
No, I don't know, but here comes another one. So I'm back on that's a visual for the listeners. So I'm back on the air, RPP FM. You're with Dr. Ben, Health Matters, making health matter on the Mornington Peninsula. So I'm back on radio as of yesterday.
Mate, it's interesting because for the viewers, not necessarily the listeners, but for the listeners, I will paint the picture. Last time, when was the last time you were on radio? A year ago? 2 years ago?
6 months ago.
6 months ago, mate. You've changed your look, Ben. Right. So, listeners and viewers, if you head over to the website and hover over Ben's photo, you can see a photo of him in the studio. All right. And if you look at today's episode, you'll notice a bit of a difference. He's clean shaven, but now you've got the Bear Grylls look happening, mate.
It's the mountain man look.
The mountain man.
Going forward, it's the mountain man look. And as you know, that's part of the reason Michelle's suggested that I get another car, a different car. She said, you're no longer the BMW looking dude. You're now more the Outback Ranger Ram driving man look. You got the dog who's going to be a big Brutus. You need a dog car to match your beard and your long hair.
Oh, mate, you're growing hair long, are you?
I'm growing my hair. Look, it's all just brushed back these days. I'll be doing a little man bun.
Oh, wow. Mate, look at you.
I'm not biting.
We'll see. It's going through the long agony stage. Listeners, if you ever decide to grow your hair out, blokes, there's a transition period that is painful.
Matt, how long is that transition period, Matt, when you go from where Ben's hair is? Oh, so my hair, and then you got Ben's hair is in the agony period till you can actually go out of the agony. Matt, what's that period? Timeline?
Depends how kind you are to yourself, because there's two types of agony here. There's external judgment and internal judgment. Now, Ben's he's a strong man, so I don't think I don't think the internal judgment's going to get to him. I think he's going to be very forgiving. He's going to love himself very quickly. I think that the external judgment, people are used to a certain image from Ben. It's a 6-month transition.
Yeah.
With people's opinions, mate. You should get your hair cut. Oh, you're letting yourself go. But then you do, once you break through that, then it's just compliments all day. So, is it worth the struggle? I think so. I think you look amazing with long hair.
So listeners, 6 months exactly from recording right now would be, mate, the week before Christmas.
So you'd be Santa Claus.
For me, it's a winter thing. I'm gonna when spring arrives, the question will be asked: do I keep it or do I get rid of it? And the beard is the tricky bit. I was talking to Dr. Beck yesterday, one of the chiropractic team, and she's married a guy who's Middle Eastern, and they've got that just stunning, thick black beard that grows perfectly like grains in a grain of wood, just exactly all in the same direction, just glorious. Well, I got a beard that's like a twisted vine of. It just goes in every hair is picking its own direction, and so it's. I wouldn't say it's the most attractive beard.
Mate, maybe you need to comb it, and maybe you need to put some beard oil in it, mate.
I do that. I put so much beard oil in one day, there was a little drip forming on the end of my chin. So, yeah.
Do you split wood? That'll help, I'm sure.
Do I split wood?
It's got to be all the man activities, the rugged man activities. That'll aid in the growing process. The chopping wood.
I split the bag that the wood comes in. Does that count?
I don't think so.
No. Yeah. So, mate, that's me. But I did look like Janesh's. Janesh's haircut was my standard. A little longer on top and nice and short on the sides. But, Matty, I am envious, and a lot of people would be envious of your beautiful curly locks.
Really?
I reckon. You got good hair, man. You got good hair. This is the hair show, ladies and gentlemen.
It is.
Yeah.
I thank my mum for my hair. There you go, mum. There's a plug. Definitely didn't come from dad. So have it while you can, I say. Who knows? We never know the cards we're going to get dealt. I look at my dad and I think, I might be bald soon. I look at my mum and I think she's got lovely long hair. So let's see what we're capable of.
What's your brother? Your brother got receding hairline or full head of hair?
I don't think so. But he always wears a cap too. He's, a crane operator. He's always got his attire on. Can't really see his hair.
It's interesting. Do you think the myth of wearing a hat promotes baldness? Is that a myth or is that reality?
Let's do a scientific study.
Oh, yeah, a bit thinner. A little bit thinner.
And we should have done that.
The great man, our number one fan, he came home a few weeks ago and he said, I'm thinning out, look. And he's putting his hair down. He's got this red hair.
It's thick.
And it's and it kind of wiry, goes everywhere. It's got totally a mind of its own. And he's leaning forward and he's showing how his scalp's kind of showing through because his hair's getting thinner. And he was quite concerned about it. So Michelle took him off to her hairdresser, who's just a lovely bloke.
Yeah.
And just can't think of his name for a second. Lovely dude. Anyway, he checks Logan out. He says, Logan, how often do you wash your hair? Logan said, do you mean in weeks or months?
Does rinsing count as washing?
Yeah, well, I think for Logan it did count as washing, but the great man, not a big hair washer. And I can't think of the guy's name. We'll call him Matt. Matt said, mate, there's so much gunk on your scalp, your hair just can't get through. And so you just got to wash your hair. You got to wash your hair a little more regularly.
Wow.
And it'll start to grow back out. So I don't know about caps, but having your hair all gunked up particularly, I guess, with the hair products and stuff we put in, apparently stops the hair growing. So wash your hair.
That's a good, solid advice. So has anyone, either of you two, worn a beanie during winter for an extended period of time? Do you remember back in the day we used to go to the snow? I used to get into the snow, but you'd wear a beanie for like 3 days in a row and your hair would hurt. You could feel the follicles were
Just be
actually
pressed down.
in pain because they've been constricted for so long and they haven't seen light, or probably both. Amazing feeling when you run your hand through your hair and you can actually feel, not nice. It's something you just take for granted, isn't it? Sometimes you forget it's even alive. It's just a thing that's attached to you.
Hair freedom. Michelle asked me about my bionic ears. Better nice hearing aids.
How are they going, mate? You were on the trials, and you said the trials start beeping at you after X amount of weeks. I would assume, are we at that point now?
I did go back, and I hadn't been wearing them as much as I would have liked, and blah, 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 blah. So he said, mate, let's do another 6 weeks. So I have been regular, but I left early this morning, and I haven't put them in. But Michelle did ask me a few weeks ago, like, how are you feeling about them? And I said, look, I'd rather have hearing aids than be bald.
True.
Yeah.
Mate, I'm thinning at the back here, and it's each time I see a mirror or like something, I'm like, oh no.
Just you can get that powder, that black powder.
I don't know if it would. Oh, black powder just to like dye my scalp.
Yeah, fills it out.
Isn't there like, there's pills you can get these days?
Mate, that's a different type of pill. I don't need that type of pill at the moment, Matt.
I'm sure I had a friend that had, what's the part where it thins out here? I won't say his name in case he listens. Yeah, but Errol. Thinning out here at like 28, like really young. And then now, sort of 7 or 8 years later, he's got a full head of hair. So
Mate, maybe he did the cheeky trip to Turkey and got the hair implants.
I reckon maybe.
What do they go
implants? I think it was a drug application.
Mate, it's a lot cheaper in Turkey.
Yeah, their healthcare is apparently pretty good. He went over there and got his back surgery done and saved a fortune.
In Turkey?
Yeah.
Mate, it's huge.
I did the same thing. Shocked.
Right.
Apparently really, really good surgeries over there.
Go. Sounds safe.
Yeah.
What else has been going on in our worlds?
Mate.
Yeah.
I want
to know
crazy.
What's going on for you guys in Melbourne? What's the temperature like? I can tell from Ben's jacket and his rugged looks that it's cold. How cold are we talking? Are we in the middle of winter yet?
Oh, yeah. This week, 100%. I was like 3 degrees yesterday morning.
3 degrees.
3 degrees at not even super early. 6:30, 6:45.
Dark when you leave, dark when you get back. That type of deal.
Being cold, I jumped in the ocean on Sunday. A mate of mine did gave me a shout out and said, Benny, with a group of us that we get in every Sunday. Now, when he says every Sunday, this would be our second Sunday. We get in every Sunday, and we spend 15, 20 minutes in the water, just standing in the water, doing some cold, and then we go out for a coffee. I said, yeah, mate, 90% I'll be there.
15 minutes.
That morning comes around, and I have to juggle dogs and stuff anyway.
Juggle dogs, mate. You got one. You say as if you got like a whole litter of puppies.
Don't let the truth get in the way of the story. Hang on, let me keep with that story. And so anyway, I vacillated, and I knew that I'd be in trouble if I didn't go, right? So I decided I'm going to go. So I get up, and I think I just got a little bit nervous. About getting in the cold, and because it's been a year and a half since I've been swimming in the cold, and so I'm sitting having my morning cup of tea, watching YouTube clips about how to get cold exposure, and I'm driving down in the car listening to YouTube telling me about how to get into the cold and getting myself all prepped. Anyway, we get in the cold, we stand in for 15 minutes. It's windy and it's rough. We're just in the ocean standing.
How far up? Shoulders?
Up to our neck, yeah.
Oof, yeah.
And so we get out. There was 4 of us, and we head to the coffee place. And I wasn't too bad, and Al was pretty good, but the other 2 were shaking. They were seriously shaking, and we're sitting at the coffee place, and one guy just couldn't. He couldn't keep still, and he's rubbing his legs, and he's talking like this, and I got this new product I'm about to launch, and he's talking like that for 30 minutes. It was like that. He ordered a cup of tea as well, which came in a teapot. Trying to pour it into the cup.
That's not healthy. That is not healthy at all.
So that's how cold it was. Which apparently was only 12 degrees, which is not super cold, but it's cold.
But everyone's core temperature is different, though.
Yes. Yeah.
So, mate, so was that his first time getting in?
I think that was his first time of getting in. Yeah.
How often when people say, "Look, I want to try cold exposure," right? They don't think maybe I'm going to turn the shower to lukewarm, right? They go, you know what? I'm just going to go to the ocean and stand in it for 20 minutes. And sometimes it is like, yep, you do need a shock to your system. But then do you think, why do we do it? I know I do sometimes where I go too hard in something and then go, nah, I don't like it. I don't think I should. And then I've learned if I really want that thing or I really want to pursue that, I come back to it and I do it gradually, but I don't learn. I don't learn to gradually do it anyway the first time. Why is it? Sometimes either people shy away from it. They're either all in and then it's sometimes too much and it does the opposite effect. Like, I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to jump in. I'm all in. But then it shocks their system too much. They go, oh, no, maybe not for me.
I think there's 2 bits to that. I think there's, you just don't know, and that happens like when you first time back at the gym after a while, you're back and you're lifting the weights and the next day you just can't, and 2-3 days a week after you can't move. You overdid it. But I also think for me, there's a little bit of, I want to make it epic. I don't want to, if I'm going to do it, I want to make sure that when I come back out, it's like, yeah, that was cool. It's like Michelle, she's looking at us walking the Camino next year, Camino Santiago. And she's talking about, there's different paths we could take. And I said, what about if because you can ride a bike, you can ride a push bike. If you ride a push bike and I run the Camino, what about if I run it like 20 Ks every day? That would be amazing. She said, can we just walk? Does it have to be you're always out in front and I'm trailing behind and you're running, and can we just walk it together? But instantly when she said Camino, I went, yeah, what if we ran it? Well, I ran it. What about you, Matty? Do you find yourself sort of going a bit overboard?
Yeah, I think so. I relate to the gym one. Like whenever I've been off something for a while, I usually come in and try to get back to where I was at plus a little bit, It's like, maybe I've had, I think if you had a couple of weeks off, you can do that. But when you've had a couple of months off and then you come back and you're like, I was doing this weight, so now I'm going to just try and beat that. It's more, it's like a mental thing where the body just can't keep up for sure. Too much, too soon, too hard. Yeah, that's a thing. I wonder if you've got 2 daughters. Both of you have got daughters. Did you notice with your daughters that's a common thing as well? Obviously, Ben, you've got daughters and a son. Did you notice that during the development stage that the boys are more inclined to overdo things than the girls? Or is that just a human quality that we exceed our capabilities?
I think it's a risk thing. I think it's your risk profile. Some will tippy toe. They'll get to the edge of the ocean and they'll just want to try make sure it's safe, make sure it's not too rough, make sure there's not a rip, make sure it's not too cold. And then there's others that just get, yeah, and they run down the beach and they just dive in. I think that's a risk thing. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, I think so too. I don't know if it is adults or children or gender specific. I think it is risk. I think, yeah, look at Keisha's risk profile. She's probably likes to take less risk than I do overall. And it is, yeah. I think it is a risk profile. It's like risk versus reward. I think it's instead of making sure everything's calculated, it's like, nah, let's just give that a shot. What's the worst could happen? I think it is risk. I think, you see people go, I know that saying of you got to risk it for the biscuit, right? Where you can have incremental incremental change or incremental steps, but then also incremental reward. It's like actually super. Disclaimer, this is not financial advice here, but I was looking at my super the other day, and you can choose your your risk profile, right, on how aggressive you want to be, right? And they give you the older you get, maybe you should do it less because you got more chance of losing, blah blah. And it's and they go, look, but higher risk, you could lose 3/4, but you could also gain triple, right, in the highest risk profile. And it's interesting, and all it is, it's just this little bar, this little sliding bar that you can choose. Oh, what am I feeling today? Oh, I feel a little risky today. So which is fascinating, I think. What would you say the difference is between overdoing it and taking massive immediate action? I'm a firm believer, if you want to do something, start the wheels turning now, right? So meeting with a friend yesterday on an idea, and he's like, oh look, yep, and we're talking, and I'm like, let's meet in 2 weeks. Let's go the next steps in 2 weeks. Let's keep the ball rolling. But what do you think the difference is between massive immediate action and overdoing it? And is there just a fine line there?
Ben.
Mate, first of all, back to the super thing. It's funny you say that, because I just randomly logged in yesterday. My account wanted something, and we do have a managed super fund as well. And the profile, the fund was called, I don't know, it's like MLC Global Aggressive. That's the name of the fund. the thing's aggressive. That's literally the word that's at the back of the thing. It's called aggressive. I think you're right. A lot of people, they vacillate. I call it the sniper approach, which is where they dick around for ages, checking the wind, checking the distance, waiting for the perfect shot, because they want to make sure they get the perfect shot and don't miss. They never want to miss it. And so they often muck around for ages, and by then the target's shifted, versus the six-shooter just pulls his gun and just starts shooting, and he just waits till he hears the bing. He goes, I got it.
Cowboy.
Yeah, the cowboy. And I think there's the mix between the two. And I really like a graph. Again, sorry for the listeners, but one axis is
axes
is knowledge, and the other axis is confidence. There we go. Got it.
Yeah.
Everyone got that in their head. One axis.
I was like, we're going to have to cut him off.
Yeah. So sometimes what we have is someone that has low skill but high confidence.
Yeah.
And we call those people cowboys. Yeah. And versus someone who has low confidence but high skill, and they just never take action. You go, there's so much potential in this person. If only they'd just go public. If only they just put their hand up in class. If only they would. They've got incredible skill, incredible knowledge, but low confidence. What do you reckon you'd call that person, by the way? If low skill, high confidence results in a cowboy, what's low confidence, high skill?
Matt, what would you call it?
Isn't it? Timid would be the technical term, to have it live timidly. I don't know what the cowboy equivalent is. Which would be, yeah. I think I'd prefer be a cowboy than timid, because the cowboy has a lot of stories. Yeah, a lot of scars, and a lot of failures, but they're in it. They're living, whereas timid's on the sideline. And I remember when I was really young, I was that one. I was the timid, shy, sit on the sideline type of kid. And it's really funny because, when I talk to a lot of people, when you speak to a lot of people over time, you realize there are patterns, there's types of people. And this whatever you are when you're a child, when you grow up, you seem to be the opposite, really seems to be a thing. Because I notice so many kids and friends who are older now who speak about when they were younger. It's almost like a map. Whatever they were when they were a kid, they tend to, throughout life, become the opposite. And it's really, really interesting.
That's really interesting. I'd love to explore that more, because I was exactly that too. Missed, shy, super quiet. And I went back for my 20th Cairo anniversary reunion, and they were kind of handing out awards, and I got the Metamorphosis Award.
Wow.
First year Cairo, I was still the shy, quiet guy. And by the time third year Cairo came around, I was the naughty boy, the, extroverted, loud. There was this transition while I was at Cairo. So that's interesting you say that too, Matty. So, what is with that? Have you noticed that, Janesh? Particularly with maybe the kids you see come through, although you don't see them as adults, I guess, through the summit. But do you notice that anywhere else in your life? Or what about you, Janesh?
Have you seen that pattern?
I think I saw. Interesting. I think probably I went through. Extroverted during high school, then confident, no skill during high school, then undergraduate, still like extroverted, but probably a little bit more introverted because the network wasn't there, and not like kind of, and then like postgrad was probably more, again, extroverted. So I went through cycles. Right, going on your wave thing from the start, right, Bennett? I think it's, for me personally, I've gone through waves. Like close circle, wouldn't have probably noticed a difference, but I'm like, how do I interact with like greater, like people I don't know? Definitely a difference now. Probably now back to kind of what, like high school, like kind of, I would say, if I had to compare that cycle. I don't think I've gone opposite. It's interesting when we see, when I used to work in the States, you see campers come back as staff, and it's really interesting. And their first year as staff, they all, 90%, I can't say all, 90% of them start the summer how they were as a camper, right? So if they were a little shit or a brat, they start the summer that way, entitled and a brat, and they evolve over, they work in there probably anywhere from 9 weeks to 15 weeks of the year, and they evolve in either way. So if they come as timid, then they evolve and they're in it. They're because you have to be. You can't be as a front of center camp staff member in the States, unless you're back of house. You can't remain super timid the whole way through, because you got these young kids that are looking up to you going, hey, where do I go? What's my direction? You're bringing them certainty. So I see them evolve from the start to the end. However, when they come to us as staff, they're 90% exactly how they were as a camper. So if they're the quiet introverted one, they come in quiet introverted. But by that 12-week, they've definitely morphed, which is awesome. And it's part of their growth, I think. So
it makes sense when you think about it, because you attract what you are, right? So if you're timid, and when you put someone in a leadership role or a coaching or a teaching role, they're going to be approached by what they are. So if they're timid, they're going to get a lot of timid people, and they're going to have to work with timid people, and they're going to be encouraging those timid people to take risks, take chances, step outside their comfort zone. And while they're communicating that to them, they're also communicating it to themselves, because they're saying those things out loud with their own voice. And the other way, right? If you're the really obnoxious, outgoing extrovert who's also probably maybe a little too obnoxious, then you end up with, campers that are obnoxious and outgoing, and you're finding yourself having to pull your jets, pull your head in, And I wonder if that has an effect on your subconscious. And you start to learn the skills, that you're lacking, the parts of you that aren't very well developed. I think as well, while I'm on this train of thought, do you notice this as you get older? Because using your graph, the more you know, the more you realize you don't know. So that should mean, and I think it's not confidence, because the confidence is still there, but the older I get, the more I realize I don't know a lot, and that there's so much more to know, and that's quite a humbling process. Like I had a guy yesterday, we're skating, and he said, what kind of surfer are you? And I said, a regular one. And he's like, are you a good one? And you can tell when someone's asking if you're a good surfer that they're a beginner, because that's what beginners are focused on, is on being good. And I'm like, well, what do you mean, mate? He's like, well, you an advanced, intermediate? I said, I'm a beginner. And he's like, oh, you must be advanced. That's what advanced people say. I'm like, mate, to be honest, like surfing's a thing that you do for your whole life. So you're never going to be advanced. Like you're always going to be getting better. But he was so fixated. He's like, just tell me how good you are. I think because he wanted to work out whether or not he wanted to listen to me. He's going to ask advice. He's like, are you shit? Because I don't want advice from someone who's really shit.
So, Matt, when you say the more you know, you realise the less you know, do you think, maybe say, answer this for you personally or just in general, does your confidence go down? Are you less likely, your confidence may be up, are you less likely to throw your hat in the ring when you realise, I actually realise now I know nothing or not much? So does that result in timid action? Because it's greater awareness.
A great question. I think the confidence is still there, but that it takes work, because you're a big fish in a small pond, and then suddenly you're a small fish in a very big pond. To use an analogy, I think the confidence, I still try to cultivate the confidence and believe in myself and tell myself I've got this, but yeah, I'm aware that there's so much that I don't know. So I think it's more humbling if it's done. If it's with grace, it's humility. You become humble. You realize, you listen more, because you get wisdom with that too, right? With that sense of, I don't know everything, comes wisdom, hopefully, which enables you to navigate it with more confidence. But without the wisdom, without learning from experience, then yeah, for sure, confidence is shot, because suddenly there's no sense of control or understanding or being able to interpret something so uncertain. What do you think, Ben, when it comes to this graph that you've introduced?
Wait, before you answer that, where are you on that graph?
Me?
Yes.
Well, I think it's really interesting what Maddie's just said, because I think ideally what you're looking to do, and if you're being coached and guided, that your coach is increasing your skill and your confidence at the same time. Skill and confidence. And so you stay in this nice band where your skill matches your confidence. And that's the ideal, right? But sometimes we swing out of the band, too much skill, not enough confidence, or too much confidence, not enough skill. I think what Maddie's saying, I was just feeling into that, Maddie, and given that I'm twice your age, I feel like there's a...
You're 72?
I don't need to... You start having... Not always, actually. This is not true. I know lots of people that are older and still feel the need to prove themselves, and therefore will demonstrate confidence that's way more than their skill in an attempt to prove themselves. But I think for me, I'm feeling into it, and what I'm feeling is I don't need to prove myself as much, and which, got to be careful, it's a slippery slope of then deciding not to kind of stretch yourself, to remain fixed, to not feel like you need to grow. But I just feel like, whatever. And if you want to do it that way, enjoy. I'm not gonna try and change your mind. I'm not gonna try and prove that, I'm the guy that you need to listen to. Just, good on you. What I do love is, one day I know, listeners, I'm not really going to do it, but one day I might do it. And that is when someone pisses me off with the car, like in a car park or something, I'm just going to ram them. Because I got insurance, like those movies, like where the guy, like with Robert De Niro or whatever, gets pissed off and he goes, I'm insured.
Mate, this is channeling your big American car. He wants a big truck like in Yellowstone. And he goes, you don't mess with the ranch, right? Like that's where you're going. That's
He literally said he wants to get a ram.
And
Now he's talking about
his subconscious is coming ramming people. Next thing you know, Matt, Brom's got a best friend. It's his little billy goat ram, right? Like kind of prancing around in the backyard.
But yeah, it's that level of just like I'm all good. Like I don't feel like I need to prove myself. And I think when we have more confidence than skill, we play in that space because there's a need to prove our worth and who we are. So I feel like certainly as I've got older, there's a little bit less of that. But I'm conscious of that. I want to still be more on the aggressive side of that line. I'd rather have a bit more confidence and maybe not enough skill than wait till I've got the skill. So
I think there's a difference though between what you were saying, Ben, the needing to prove yourself. It's who you're doing it for, and I think that there is that need for significance, right? That people seek, and it's a look good, not be good type of mentality, and it's like a look at me confidence, right? But I think there's like that. You have those quiet achievers, right? But their confidence is out of the ordinary. But you don't know about it. They're humble. But their confidence to take that gamble, to throw that hat in the arena. But it's not coming from a place of significance or not coming from a place of proving themselves. It's like, you know what? I think I'm going to back myself. I think there's a difference there, and I think one is healthy and one is unhealthy. And I think the unhealthy version, unfortunately, in the year we're in, is everywhere you look, right? The materialistic, social media, Insta-worthy type of photos, shots, content is around where it's like your confidence is out of the blue, out of like kind of this bandwidth. Maybe little to no knowledge, but it's coming from a place of ego, coming from a place of significance, which there's no one, I don't think it's healthy. And two, I don't think it's sustainable. It doesn't lead to anywhere. It doesn't lead to them building something. It doesn't lead to them progressing in the other areas of their life. Their significance bucket, so to speak, is like overflowing, right? However, their connection bucket is empty potentially. And I think I don't think with everything, there's an unresourceful way to seek significance. And I think that happens, unfortunately, too much in everyday this and that. I think you get the people who might get the car, get this, but no one knows about it. They get it because of them. Or they go, you know what, because I like it. And then they're happy to share it if someone asks them, but it's not a look at me type of approach.
I think this plays into the internal and external motivation too. Like if someone has a belief that my actions speak louder than my words, then they're probably what we would call your quiet achiever. They're motivated and confident enough to take action. So they're very confident, but they don't present themselves as confident. Look at me, look at me, look at me. But they have to have a level of confidence to take action. And often their actions speak quite clearly. And then after the fact, we say, oh, wow, that's a confident person. Versus the person who doesn't take action or take little action, but tells everyone they are. Look at me. I've got all these things. I am this. Sometimes, not saying always, but sometimes that's the guy with the incredible physique. Sometimes that happens, but actually on the inside, they're not confident. So they're trying to mask it with this bravado, these huge physiques. And, more and more in the world, it seems that we have ability to fake things. You can fake anything. You can have a filter that makes you look beautiful. You can go to the gym and in 3 months get an incredible body if you're willing to take a whole lot of drugs, and no one will know. It's possible. You can do it. You can have the dream physique. And there's this fake presenting confidence, presenting everything that should make you feel confident to the world, but actually it's hollow.
I thought you were talking about me for a second when you were talking about the guy with the big physique. But
It's chiseled physique.
Which gym is that, Matt, too, by the way, with the drugs?
I don't know if it's just my feed, but I've just started getting back into the gym. And since I've been getting back in the gym, I just get YouTube sending me all these things about, steroid abuse.
All right, they're listening to you, mate. They're listening.
They are listening.
It's crazy. We talked about this in the past, that social media isn't often the best. I think it can be. It depends what you pick, but you also do get sense and just rubbish, clickbait stuff.
But there's no point looking or searching anymore. You just kind of talk to your phone and go, I am looking, I need groceries. I need broccoli, organic broccoli, please. And there you go. Ads, click, done, order. All right? Make it work for you, mate. If it's already listening, make it work for you.
If it's going to listen, can it just do it as well?
It will.
I need some eggs. Bing! Oh, it won't be long. Yeah.
Mate, how do you go with shopping over there? You don't get potatoes and lamb and fillet
Really
steak.
hard. I need Kat back in my life.
I thought you said you need a cat, you go to the grocery store and you get a cat. That's what I was thinking you were going at. Where we're talking.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay, wow, Matt. That's a little information overload.
Kat's my girlfriend for all our listeners. She's a phenomenal cook, and she's really good at it. And she's a really good shopper. You appreciate each other when you leave, what you bring to the table, right? There's many things that Kat brings to the table, and she's phenomenal at shopping and food. It's tough. And here's the thing, going out's relatively cheap. It is cheap. And if you pick your battles and you eat locally, it's very cheap. But I've eaten in every single restaurant now. And just the thought often of getting, when you're at home, you've just finished your day of work and you just want to be able to lounge and maybe quickly go to the fridge and grab a snack I've been struggling.
Uber Eats? Do they do Uber Eats over there? No.
Every single cafe or restaurant will deliver, but again, it's cafe restaurant food, and I just want a little slice of home. So I've
Is
got
there
a
a
few
bit of
things.
tension when you go to the cafe? Like, oh, could it be dodgy? Do you have that little bit of, just,
Yeah.
you know, I know when I've eaten in Asian countries, and there's just sometimes this, oh, you want to eat there, but you're sitting there and there's just a bit of tension as you're eating. I wonder if this is okay.
100%.
That's when Matt's confidence kicks in, and the knowledge of what's actually in it is next to zero. He goes, you know what? It'll be right. It will be fine. My microbiome's got a week to adjust. It's going to be okay.
Exactly what happened. And I'm surrounded by other people who are similar. Who are like, yeah, you'll be fine. I've been eating this stuff for 32 years.
You know,
You've been eating it for a week. You'll be fine. Come on. Go for it. Yeah, I do actually pick my I have like my 15 places that I 100% trust, that I know are really, really good. And then I eat consistently from there. And I gamble every now and again because I like a bit of risk. And I will eat a bit of street food. Like, me and a friend went motorbike riding, this epic motorbike trip, which I'm going to take you on, Ben, when you come here. Phenomenal. You ride along the coast, and then you go up this ridge, and you're on this ridge, and it's just coast on one side and mountains on the other side. So phenomenal. It's super dangerous because you don't go fast. Then you go 60 because there's cattle and dogs and cats and all kinds of things. But beautiful drive. We pull over, and this, in the middle of nowhere, on top of a mountain. And then this guy goes past on this little, you know, kind of Go-Jack style with the boxes on the side. And it's like dim sims, you know, and he pulls over, and Pablo orders a plastic bag of dim sims, and the guy disappears, and we don't have any change. So Pablo gives him $10 for something that's like, you know, maybe 50 cents. So the guy's just the best day ever.
He was laughing. You could hear him. He drove away.
He was so happy. And Pablo and I ate one, and Pablo looks at it and he's like, maybe we'll give this away. I'm not sure about this. These balls have been carted up a mountain on the back of a motorbike. Tried to give them to the next local. No, she's not having a bar of it. I'm like, mate, let's think of it from her perspective. You don't have the motorbike with the, you know, special things on the side. You're just a white tourist on top of a mountain handing someone a bag of meat. Like, who's going to take that from you? He's like, yeah. So we ate it, and I'm fine.
How's Pablo? He's still in bed.
He's dead. He's gone.
Getting his stomach pumped. Fellas, what's our, sorry to interrupt you, Matt, I'm just aware of time here. What's our takeaways from today? What's something that we want to leave our listeners with?
It went fast. Just about to warm up and give you a Pablo story next time. 8:57. What's our takeaway, Ben?
I think something we didn't really talk about, but we kind of did. The whole, and maybe we talked about this the other week, impermanence. Like, your hair's impermanent. You know, good food, bad food, it's impermanent. Sometimes you eat and it's good, and sometimes you eat it's not bad. It's bad. That just everything's constantly changing. You know, our risk profile changes, our character changes over time. Just everything's always going through change, and just to have that flexibility to recognize change is going to happen. It's going to happen. And that whilst you might have hair today, in a few years, Janesh, you may not.
Quite likely.
At some point, you won't have hair. It's true. What's my takeaway? I'm going to jump in before Janesh. That gives you a little bit more time to think.
Yeah.
We spoke about the confidence and skill, I guess, equation that Ben introduced. And yeah, I think my challenge is to identify what you are. Have a think about it. What are you? Honestly ask yourself the question, and the answers will come. Sit down with it, maybe draw that graph and think through, you know, major events in your life and see whether it has changed. We spoke about how sometimes Ben and I definitely experienced a what we were when we were kids, and now we're kind of the opposite. I think that would be really interesting for people to work out. Like, have you had an experience of this? Were you quite timid and now you're quite confident, or vice versa? And also, we're capable of growing and evolving and becoming anything we want. So if you need more confidence in your life, then maybe it's time to say yes and do some of the things that scare you. And also maybe, you need more skill to have more confidence as well. So maybe it's time to practice and hone whatever your craft is. Sometimes we just get in the habit of doing it the same way over and over again out of comfort and security. And I would challenge you to stretch yourself, maybe read something new, upskill, play around with the skill confidence equation.
I'll take a bit of both of yours, and in the notion of impermanence, like as you said, Ben, like things aren't always going to be around. Like we are not going to be around always, right? This show won't be always around. And in that, like, don't hoard your knowledge. Don't hoard your knowledge.
Are you leaving us?
And no, this is not my speech. That don't hoard your knowledge and not take action and go, oh, I'll wait that one day. I'll wait for the perfect weather and the no wind to give something a shot. And I think because that day may never come, right? So I would stretch yourself to give things a go. And on the other end, if you give everything a go and you always shoot at your hip, I encourage you to use that confidence to gain more knowledge. Still take the shot, but gain more knowledge while you're taking the shot. Okay, go, yep, I'm going to start this tomorrow, but I'm going to work like a fiend and learn everything I can and be curious and still take the shot, as opposed to just take the shot and not know anything about it. So because there is no tomorrow, right? It is no tomorrow, and you don't want to be going like I think we've had this conversation a few times on sitting on your deathbed going, oh, what if I just did that? What if I did that, right? Like, fuck, life sucks if you're just living through a bunch of what ifs. So I would say take the shot and increase your knowledge while you're taking the shot. Would be my takeaway.
It's good. Good stuff, boys. Good session today.
Yeah.
Nice. We'll see you all.
All right. Until next time, everyone, have a good one. Thanks for listening to another episode of Lifelong Learner. If you like this episode and want to know more and hear other episodes, head over to lifelonglearnerpodcast.com, where you can subscribe to our newsletter, where you'll be the first to know when new podcast episodes come out. And if you want to say hello, tell us a joke, or ask us a question, send us an email at hello@lifelonglearnerpodcast.com. Thanks again.